Hello YouTube family, James Green, short series Shenanigans. So, going to be a little bit of an update, mix up on a few things here. So, it's back. Got it. First off, I'll move the camera around a little bit here. So, we got the welder back from warranty. We've got our machine back from Everlast. For those of you that don't know, I had an issue with, and I hadn't used the plasma cutter very much. So back in late October, I was doing a lot of cutting, like nearly an hour straight, with the plasma cutter on it. That's the most I'd ever done in one setting. And it quit working. I let it set for about 10 minutes and went to flip the breaker back on because I exceeded the duty cycle. Anyway, went to flip the breaker back on after about 10 minutes. A blue flash came out of the side. Anyway, it was under warranty. They warrantied it, fixed it. Essentially what they did was, because I marked it, lots of drama going on about it. I'm not going to go into great detail. They got it fixed. What they did was, essentially, this plastic here, the handle, the plastic at the back, and the cover, because that has your serial number on it, is new, or correction, that's the same. Everything else is brand new. So essentially what they did, they couldn't fix mine. They took the skin or the covers off of mine and put it on a brand new machine. So you don't get a new warranty, you just continue on with the remainder of the first part of it. So that way, you know, if you guys are curious about it, that's how they did mine. Other than that, the welder's been working fine. I was doing some arc welding, working on the I got a lot of stuff going on here. Working on the strike face, and I was also playing a little bit with a bunch of different rod. Also playing with my little bitty tiny Harbor Freight. I've had this thing for years. Wire welder, just putzing around with it. You know, all those edges are going to get cut off anyway. We got the two strike faces welded up. So when I was doing welding, and I've talked about this, or not welding, getting the plates ready to weld them, I was using my surface grinder. Now, when I went through this, the only thing I didn't go through, because I didn't know if it was leaking or not, was the valve body on it. As you can see, I have the bed and the chuck off. It's sitting on the table here. I've got, matter of fact, the cylinder here, this is what drives the X. That seal is leaking. It got boogered up whenever I was putting it in, and so I ordered two of them, and so I'm going to put another new one in. I'm going to go ahead and order some more. But that wasn't the only place it was leaking, because I was doing a lot of grinding. I'll kind of give you guys a quick view. I'm not going to do all this on video, but I am going to give you guys an update. So I'll go ahead and show you. So out of curiosity, if you guys are curious, so here's where it bolts down. Okay, and as far as I can tell, all these O-rings are original. What actually holds the valve body down are two bolts that holds it in, and these are the little fittings for the X and Y feed and everything, and they essentially have little O-rings that fit on like that. Okay, so that one needs to be replaced. They're all going to get replaced, and I know there's other ones in here. This is the engage and disengage. So these spool valves, they were seeping. I am going to go through this. I'm not going to do it all on camera. I will kind of give you guys some updates on the YouTube videos. I will post a lot of this on social media. By social media, I mean Facebook, my personal page, as well as Eagle Dust Off 37, and I'll post stuff like this on Instagram. Okay, now there is also both of these on the end. I don't want to, there's oil coming out everywhere, but there was also on the back here, this is the rollover valve, and these pins have been bent for a long time. They're going to get, I'm going to go through this whole thing, and it was also seeping oil out of back here, so I've got to go through this whole thing and get it, I'm gonna get it right as rain. We're going to go through it, we're going to clean up. That was the only thing I didn't do. I am going to go ahead while I'm at it, and I am going to remove this off of here. I've made the decision. What I'll do is I'll go through this get it cleaned up and done, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull this completely off. And it's like that's the only thing that I hadn't touched yet. When I got this, I've done a boatload of work to it. These are little catch trays because it's a waste oil system to help that I made that help guide the oil back down. So that was kind of the other area I hadn't touched yet because I didn't know if I needed to. After using it a lot, I've got about 100 hours worth of runtime on that since I got it, and since I've got it up and running. And so pleased with it. That was just one of the things. It's like I wasn't ready to go into it quite yet. So now that it's had a lot of runtime and things are starting to leak, well, they were leaking. They've gotten worse. But anyway, so I'm going to show you guys a little bit what we got going on here. Move the camera, try to get you guys a good angle. Let me get some of this oil off my hands over here real quick. Because that hydraulic oil has stuff in it that irritates my hands pretty good. So, gotta love these Gojo wipes. So anyway, what we're making is, I have a friend of mine, local to me, fellow veteran, that has a Harbor Freight tile saw. Now it's the biggest one that they make. Currently this is 2017, so he bought this thing last year. Anyway, it fell out of the back of his pickup and the little rollers broke. And he brought it over to me and says, hey, can you make? So here's what's left of it. Okay. Now that's what the little bed travels on, and we've got a groove, and then on the inside you can see we've got a snap ring groove. Okay, so what it is, and I've already made one just to kind of go through the motions of everything. It has two, I'll knock these out. There we go. So it has two bearings that sits in there, and then you have the spacer that goes on the back. Now, nice tight fits, 22 millimeter. Just metric measurements. I made a form tool, so we're going to make these. This is a hard plastic and they broke. It takes 3 of these, so I'm going to go ahead and make 2 more. Actually, I'm going to make 3 more. Or correction, I'm sorry. I'm going to make 2 more of these. The other 2 are still good. He's going to keep those in case something goes wrong. He's got them as backup. But we're going to go ahead and make all 3 of them, and they're out of Delrin. This is hard plastic. They fracture, so we've got like 7.5 minutes or almost 8 minutes into the video. So we'll go ahead and move right along, and I always keep my parts of inspiration up here, and that should be, let's see if we're gonna have a good angle. It'll give you guys an idea of what we got going on here. So I've already drilled through this piece. We're gonna make 1 more. We should be able to sneak 2 more out of this. Might have to add and sneak this out here a little bit, but we've got it turned down to size. We've got a 5/8 hole through the center, everything, so that saved a lot. So let's go ahead and just start off where we're at. I'm actually using for this, because it's working well, and you can just use a high speed, but I'm just using this. It seems to be working all right, you know, for what I'm doing. Yeah, it's a insert for stainless, but it's doing just fine for what I need. Typically what you want to do, and here's the form tool that I made for the groove, is I just took something and reshaped it. It's just high-speed steel, and we've got it grooved and relieved, and we got our height set. So we'll be using that. And let's call out the measurements here. We need to turn down. So we're going to turn down this portion here. Okay, so that'll be the next one. And we have to go 1.0, and I'm doing this, if you did it in metric, it'd be like 27.7 or whatever. I'm just going to stick to imperial measurements. So we're 1 inch, 96 thou. Of course, that's not a critical dimension because it doesn't fit on anything, but I'm going off of the scrap piece we had here of what was left, and it was actually, of course, it's kind of oblong. It showed to be 1 inch, 94, 95. So again, trying to get a good measurement. This was a little difficult, but that's where, you know, he sent me another picture, so I know it doesn't fit on anything. What we have to worry about is where it rides on everything here, and then obviously where the bearings fit into here. Those are the critical ones. And then, you know, we're making a snappering groove in here. And so when he brings it over, we'll put it together. So we'll go ahead and continue. We know that first part of this here needs to be, I'm making it a 1/4 inch deep. So we'll just come over here, zero off, and I'll try to let you guys peek over my shoulder here while we got things going on. Because there's a lot of stuff back here. I want to get my camera setup changed so I can have my camera overhead. I keep saying that, but all right. We'll kind of get started here. And I'm going to call that 0. We're going to zero out the DRO. And I'm going to dial over, we're going to go over 250 thou, which is, let's try that again. Let's get all the backlash out. We'll call that 0, yep. And then go over 250 thou. Right there. Okay, so there we go. We'll go ahead and start. We'll make it, well, let's go ahead and just put 0. And so now we've zeroed, we brought it over at a 1/4 inch, and then I went ahead and zeroed out my DRO, is what I usually like to do. I zeroed it out so when I come down, I'll feed down to 0. That's typically kind of how I like to do it. And I will set it there so you guys can watch the DRO, and you can see this and you see what's going on, and we'll just get with it. Midget pass. That doesn't take much. I'm trying to get these first couple of cuts. And we are at, let's see. Okay, we are at 1 inch, 330 thou, and we need to drop 300 thou off this. All right. Feed it in by hand and dress it up. Alright. Everybody kind of has their own method of doing things. We're 1 inch, 123 thou. So let's take off total of 25. Let's dial in. Here and touch off, which is nice of Delrin. You can put your insert up there and it's not going to bother anything. Let's see where we're at here. We're at, this is what I was talking about by having the left-hand calipers. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So, I'll grab a pair of right-hand ones and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you grab your standard, I don't even know if I have a set of standard right-hand calipers or not. I mean, I don't. That's what's funny is, I love the left-hand calipers so much. You know what? I don't even have a set of left-hand or right-hand calipers handy. So, but you guys understand that the conundrum of, okay, let's say these were right-handed, and you'd have to come in again, and it depends. You'd have to come in here and do the whole, but you're back here in the way. And after a while, you get used to them. It's just really handy. It's easy. You're not having to crane your neck around to see a weird angle. But if you're used to it, so 1 inch, 100, or we're right at, 1 inch, 100 thou, and these needed to be 1 inch. Let's see that other one. Oh, here it is. Again, not super critical. We said it was 1 inch, 900, 1 inch, 1.095. And that's what this is, I think. We're 1 inch. Yeah, 1 inch 093. Okay. 1093. That'll work. So we are 1 inch 100 thou. We're just going to take off 10 and call it good. So we'll come in here, touch off. That's just an air measurement, but I want them all to be the same. We don't want to go too thin because I want to leave a lot of, so 1 inch. '91, '92. That'll work. Because then we have a very thin wall here. We don't want to get too thin on this. Again, if we mess up, it's not a big deal. We got more plastic to go. And we'll just keep cruising along here. What I'm going to do before we start doing inside stuff, we're going to step over with our form tool. We'll go ahead and put it on. That we made. We already got it set to height. And we're just going to come over here. And this is where I just like to make things. I don't know if you guys, I'm going to get you guys right over my shoulder here, so you can see. That's why I like to give you guys a view if I can. So what I like to do at times to line your tool up, and I made this a little thicker on the back on purpose. You just come over here, do it the easy way, line up your other part. And bingo. Alright. And we've already got our depth mark. We've got a mark over here on our tool that we made that we're going to be feeding in. And that's it. There we go. You don't want to, you got to be careful. You can slice yourself. Plus you got to be careful too when you're deburring this stuff. You get too carried away, you can actually end up losing your measurement because it'll really cut stuff away quick. Alright, so that's done. Move that form tool out of the way. So next we're going to do is come over here. We've already got our 5/8. Now we're going to go to our little boring bar. We've been using a little boring bar here, real small. This is when they're handy to come in. This is a really, really tiny insert, as you can see. So we're going to go ahead and set it up. Get everything. Alright, there we go. And I probably won't get it all done on film, but I will show you guys. Actually, let me set you over on the other side so you can see what's going on here. Okay. If I can get you a view, I will put you down at the end and I will zoom you in. Sorry about the movement. So here we go. Alright. I will zoom you guys in a little bit. So you can see what we got going on. There we go. Alright. Back out just a hair. Alright. So my block get blocked a little bit by the work, but you guys see what's going on. And we have to make a hole that's 22 mil in diameter. We're 5/8. 22 mil is the actual dimension of the outside of the bearing. But what I want to do first is create, and I'm looking at the end of my tip here that I'll call 0 on my Y, and I do know that I need to go back in on the measurement that I have on this piece here, and I just took my caliper, my guessometer, and we are at 669 thou, or 670 thou deep. So 670 thou deep. We'll come in here and we'll just go ahead and feed it in. Touch off. Okay, that's just a touch, and we're going to feed it in. And we'll go 670 thou. And then we'll zero it. So just like before, we'll just let it feed all the way in until it hits 0. And we'll just do that until we hit 22 millimeter. And just keep feeding it in. And we've got it a little bit above center. And that last little bit I like to feed by hand. We just keep doing that over and over and over until we achieve our desired diameter. So there we go. I'm not going to bore you with the repetitive stuff, but so this actually takes two bearings that are stacked in there. In a lot of applications, what I've noticed is, you know, we've in recent videos talked a lot about bearings and stuff, and I've learned a lot. I've really started paying attention to how bearings are applied and what the application is. So, you know, all this is going to do is roll back and forth on a table, and it might move 12 inches or 14 or however long this moves. So that type of bearing, that would be like your 50-cent bearing at VXB or $1. That would be the cheap ones, because it's literally, so you want a sealed bearing because water is involved. So you don't want an open bearing. So a really inexpensive sealed ball bearing, and again I talked about this in other videos. You know, then when you get into, you know, angular contact bearings, speaking of which, my small Do More tool post grinder that I've had for a while, I found the correct bearings that need to be in it. You know, you guys have seen when I rewired and did the inside of the big half horse one that I got from a gentleman. Again, full disclosure, I've had people contact me about that. I knew that thing needed a lot of work, and I'm going to be building the pulleys for it. The bearings that go in the spindle are $101 a piece. I'm going to buy them, but I'm going to do them over a period of time because it's $400 worth of bearings. So anyway, learned a lot about bearings, and I really look at a lot of things now. It's like, again, what's your application? Is all it does it need? It needs to be sealed because there's water and grit from cutting tile. It's a wet tile saw, and all it has to do is roll back and forth. But it has two of them, and that's because there's a load applied as far as to distribute the weight and to get smoother action. So that's actually what it does. It fits in there, and then it has a snap ring that fits into the groove, and we're going to cut that. And all I'm using for to create the groove in the snap ring is, here it is, because it's small enough and it's going to fit in there. I'm actually using just an internal threading bar. Okay, he's going to bring the snap rings and we're going to try it, and I'm going in there and we're going to do that. So it's not too difficult, pretty simple stuff, more than one use for doing things. Again, the width of this and using that threading tool, it'll work. Any bigger stuff, obviously, you know, I've got, if we need to put an O-ring in there, something like that, I've got the correct wider. I didn't have a grooving tool that was that narrow, so that's why I opted to use the internal boring bar, or correction, threading bar, because I'm actually going there and I'm rocking back and forth just a little bit to make it wide enough. I didn't have a carbide insert, and I didn't want to regrind a little deal for it. So it's another example of taking what you have as far as tooling and doing. Again, I'm just taking that tip and I'm going in there and just going back. And the groove doesn't have to be very wide at all. He's going to bring the snap rings. We're going to make sure I'm not cutting them too deep. We may have to go a little deeper, but that's fine. That's one of those things I don't want to cut too much out. So if I have to go back and cut a little more out, that's what I would rather do in the case, because I don't have all the parts here. He just dropped this off, you know, the other day. Says, hey, can you? I'm like, yeah, sure. So when he goes to put it together, if we, you know, the snap rings don't fit because the groove's not deep enough, that's an easy fix. Chuck them up, set it in there, cut the groove a little deeper. I'd rather do that. Again, it would be nice if I had the whole thing here, but I don't, and it's not a big deal. So we'll rectify that. If in doubt, don't cut it too deep until you get ready to put it together. So there you go. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Got a lot of things going on. Again, shout out, thank you to All Industrial Tool Supply. If you guys, you know, want Delrin material, they offer stuff like this. You can get it from them. They've got these tools. They've got it. You know, I've got their master catalog over here. And if you guys have any questions, call them up. Request a master catalog, a free one, and www.allindustrial.com. Outstanding folks. You guys give them a holler. Jim Henry and Jeff Perry, they're two phenomenal individuals. And we, again, thank you. Also like to say thank you to American Rotary, the phase converter guys. I love that stuff. If you're looking at getting into a piece of three-phase equipment like a mill or a lathe, trust me, go with a rotary phase converter. Don't fart around with the VFD and all this other. You sacrifice too much power. You lose a lot of ability. Plus on a VFD, you know, I know from personal experience, they do not give warning. If you get a power surge, the power doesn't go out, but it dims and goes in and out, it can take out a VFD in a heartbeat. You know, a lightning strike, a surge, whatever. American Rotary stuff has a lifetime warranty. Call them, talk to them. You guys, they're phenomenal people. Stuff's made in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, United States of America. They are American made. So anyway, I got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to be doing some more milling, and I'll show a lot of this stuff, guys. If you want to follow me on social media, on Facebook, I do live sessions. They just vary, and that's when I'll show the mundane stuff. And again, that's a different forum. You guys want to tune in on Facebook Live and see what I got going on. You guys can see, and it's you know, anything can happen in the conversation, and you guys I'll usually show the mundane stuff on the Facebook Live instead of on YouTube. I want to get set up to where I can do YouTube Live, so I'll post, you know, like a 6-hour video or whatever, or an all-day project, or like, okay, however long I'm in there. And so that's one of my goals I want to do here in 2017. So anyway, there's a kind of a little hodgepodge of what we got going on, stuff strung out, lots of projects. We got our welder back. So I'm going to knuckle down. I'm going to get this surface grinder done, knocked out, back together, because that's something I am going to need to continue on with the anvil strike face that I'm building for the big anvil. And plus, I need to get it out of the way. So now that I got the welder back, I cut this stuff. Here's the piece that I ended up cutting out. Okay, and there was the little oops. Now, this is actually going to get covered up. You guys saw in that other video. And it was a lesson learned, guys. I had a lot of comments. I had some people that, you know, they went off the rails. And look, here's the thing. I've always said on my channel, I'm a hobbyist. I'm a garage guy. I do things different. So constructive comments are greatly appreciated. Anything else, please keep your comments to yourself. So I am actually going to weld one of the brackets, mounting brackets here for this. Again, I don't want to spoil the video. So there you go. Thanks for watching. And as I say at the end of every video, guys, take this to heart. Take care of yourself and take care of your family. Because remember, at the end of the day, you and your family is all you got. Till next time, you guys, get out in the garage, have some fun, make some parts, help out a buddy. This stuff's fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.